If you are feeling stretched thin, chasing too many types of clients, and wondering why your profit doesn't match your revenue, this video is for you. I'm going to walk you through the biggest mistakes we make as founders trying to define our ideal customer profile. I'm going to hit the 3-question framework that I use to identify and attract my perfect clients with actual examples from my companies. And if you do, you'll finally be able to get out of the trap of doing everything for everyone and start building a business that scales without chaos. So let's get into it. If you're new to my channel, I'm Cort Brady. I've had multiple 7-figure exits. I started and scaled a company from 0 to 80 employees. I still own it, and transitioned from founding CEO to chairman of the board. I put a team in place to run it without me. And now I spend my time helping founders transition from startup to scale up. Hardest part of any business. The first time I turned down easy money was when we finally became profitable. I learned this the excruciatingly hard way. We had revenue, we had growth, but we had little to no profits. The moment I defined our ideal customer, we made our first distributions and started scaling the business without chaos. One of the companies I started and then scaled was an appraisal company that provided services and softwares to banks. When I started, like most founders, I said yes to every customer. We sold to everyone. The complexity got so intense that at one point we were offering over 12 different services, custom solutions for everyone. Revenue grew, but profit didn't. And then one day I saw a Google review from her former employee. What she said was, "Everything about this company is duct taped together." And quite frankly, she was right. We were stacking complexity, building revenue, and not a business. And here's the trap. It looked like growth, but under the hood, we were falling apart. I'm sure you felt this, but it felt like for me that we had built this house of cards ready to collapse with the slightest gust of wind. When I first started the company, they were our target. When we had them, I'd know, okay, we finally made it as a business. They were a massive logo, they were a big opportunity, but they ended up being a huge mistake. We had to spend tons of money to even get them as a client in the first place. We took tons of flights out there, took their executives to lunch. I even hired a consultant and brought him on specifically to help us land Wells Fargo. We wrote up this white paper, we built before and after models, we did ROI decks, and we pulled every single letter. Finally, we got them, and they demanded low prices but high-end quality. They had enterprise expectations but wanted local pricing. But they were Wells freaking Fargo, the biggest bank in the Western Hemisphere, so of course we just said yes to everything. After 3 years of jumping through all these hoops, we finally ran the numbers. We weren't even break even with them. Looking back over the last 3 years, a 6-figure loss, masked as growth and praised for the growth. And the worst part is it wasn't obvious until it was painfully too late. I should have known better. A friend of me once warned that every young company gets tempted by that one big client, that white whale that's going to double their profits. But they don't realize until it's too late that that white whale will likely tank their company. I thought Wells Fargo was different. I thought I, as a founder, was different, but I wasn't. When the revenue hits, but the profitability is not there, you tell yourself, I'm just gonna make up for this in volume, but the more volume on a broken deal just means faster losses. And the decision to end it becomes more and more painful as every day passes. Firing a client often means firing your team members who serve that client. These employees that I needed to let go, if we let Wells Fargo go, weren't people that I just liked. They were people that I loved, that I had invested in, that helped me build my business. And the reason they were being let go wasn't their fault. It's because I had built the customer on faulty assumptions. And the team knew it. You can feel it in the hallways at the water cooler when people are delivering work that they don't believe in because there's so much complexity, there's no way to deliver good quality work. And your clients are unsatisfied, morale goes down, accountability erodes, gossip spreads, and you start losing your edge. Then came for us what I call the sacred cow moment. There's this concept that every business has these sacred cows that they can't sacrifice. One of our team members brought up to us that, hey, we should check out Wells Fargo. So why don't we start measuring profitability by customer? What if we realized that we needed to let a customer go I was the one who had built those relationships. I had poured hours and weeks and years. It took us 18 months to land Wells Fargo into those relationships, and I had sold them on a dream and sold myself. But that Steve Jobs quote came to mind, that we hire smart people so they can tell us what to do. So if I hired this person, was paying them a salary and just ignored them, it would be nonsense. So he started measuring profitability by customer. It was rough estimates, time and direct cost versus revenue, and it painted a picture as soon as we started doing it that I couldn't ignore. We were spending tons of money and tons of time and tons of energy on customers that weren't profitable. And this is so important. I want you to hear this. If you're tolerating unprofitable work, it doesn't mean you're a bad CEO. It just means that you're human. But what great leaders do is let go. They let go of past decisions. They let go of bad fits and sacred cows so they can build what actually works. You never have to be bound to a bad decision. You can't scale while dragging these anchors along. And that was our catalyst. We started cutting services across the board. We let go of our non-core clients. We restructured the business around one thing. Who do we serve best? Not who pays us the most in terms of revenue, not who looks the best on our client list with the biggest logo, but who do we deliver repeatable, transformational results for? That is your I.C.P. Here's what it looked like for us before we did this. We had over 7 figures in revenue, so it was great to hit that $1 million mark, but we had near 0 profits and a Frankenstein system to manage all the complexity, which led to a burned out team who was unaligned. After we defined and stuck to our ideal customer profile, we had multiple 6 figures in profit to distribute. We had a simpler plug-and-play ERP system that we got off the shelf. We had an aligned team and higher retention of both our employees and our customers. And our customer acquisition process became easier. The business started working because the business was finally focused. Now, I can hear the objection as I'm saying this, because I've said it myself, that I can't afford to say no to any type of revenue. But saying yes to bad fit clients isn't revenue. It's rot, it spreads, it multiplies. It bloats your system, confuses your team, and dilutes your brand. Say no temporarily to bad revenue, focus on the right revenue. It might plateau for just a moment, but then it's gonna pick back up way faster than it would have if you would have kept shooting everything and killing everything in your path. So here's the framework. How do you find and attract your ideal customer? I use this framework with every single CEO that I coach and I work with, and I call it the I.C.P lens. I.C.P is an acronym. I stands for identify your I.C.P. Forget about branding decks. Forget about these fictional avatars, but go to your business and just find 10 actual paying customers who had the same problem, paid you to solve it, and you got substantial results for them with a repeatable solution. They all have to be exactly the same. If each customer requires their own unique solution, you're just a freelancer. You're not a company. Okay, the C stands for clarify the trigger. The most common trigger usually comes when they finally lose it on an employee because their teams drop the ball again and they explode. And then they're sitting in their office hating themselves because they know that they haven't given their team the tools to succeed, but they feel stuck because they don't know what those tools are and they don't know how to do it. That's usually their trigger to getting in touch with me. Whatever it is, I want you to identify the exact moment of discomfort where that transitions from maybe just discomfort to urgency, where they're saying, I have to get this fixed. That's when they're ready for your help. That's when they'll buy from you. P stands for pinpoint the path. Figure out how they buy. It's not enough to know who it is and what triggers them, but you have to figure out, are they Googling for this problem, or do they need this inbound approach? Do they need to be educated before they know that they even have a problem? If so, that's outbound. So match your strategy to their journey, or you'll spend money and get silence. So let's walk through the I.C.P framework and I.C.P lens for my own company, Covalent. This will give you an example of how you can do it on yours exactly. I identify the I.C.Ps, founders of 5 to 25 person companies stuck in founder purgatory. C is clarify the trigger. They lose it on their employees. They realize they haven't built a system or clarity. They feel guilty, burned out, and confusion. That's their trigger. P is pinpoint the path. For us, it's outbound. They need education. They don't search for, hey, I'm stuck, what's the solution? But when they hear our content, it resonates deeply with them, and then they reach out to us. There's one more thing I need to throw in here, because your ICP isn't always static. This isn't just this checkbox. It evolves over time, multiple times throughout the course of your company. It's an art more so than it's a science, and it's more like bulking and cutting in the gym. That process, you expand a little, you say yes to a few new opportunities, you keep your entrepreneurial edge. Then you see what's working, what's profitable, what you can solve for without customizing, and then you narrow back in and become profitable. That's okay. Narrowing your ICP doesn't mean you stop being scrappy. It just means you stop pretending that you can serve everyone on the highest level and profitably. So segment, specialize, and serve deeply. Before I wrap, here are the 4 biggest mistakes I see all the time as founders go through this process. Number 1 is chasing logos. Prestige doesn't equal profit. Number 2 is defining your ICP too early. You need at least 10 clients that all have the same problem that you solve in the same way for you to say, okay, I've identified it. Until then, you're just experimenting. Number 3 is forcing your product or service into the market without letting the problem of your ICP lead. Have their pain lead that conversation. And number 4 is trying to be everything for everyone. So let's wrap this up. If you're stuck, chaotic, or have low profits, try zooming in. Don't expand. Use the ICP lens. Identify the real clients that you serve. Clarify the moment that their pain goes from discomfort to urgent, and pinpoint the path. Do they need outbound or inbound, and match them there. Everything good in your business flows from this focus of defining and clarifying your ideal customer profile and how you can attract them. If this helped you rethink your ICP, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me what your current trigger moment is for your ideal customer profile. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe. Every day I drop frameworks like this to help you go from being the glue holding your business and company together to leading a team that scales without chaos so you can live in your zone of genius.